We thought in our heads that, whoa, if we level up,
we could do this so much better. We could edit this so much better. We could have storyline this so much better. It really tried everything under the sun.
taking our content to what we thought was the next production level.
It was all I guess a plan from the beginning. I had the best videos I've ever had, and they were tanking because it wasn't nearly as authentic. Revitalized everything. That's what got the most commotion, the most retweets.
You guys have went through pretty interesting evolution of content. And I asked that question because now it's really good storytelling and documentaries around haunted places around the world. But if we back up 7 years, I remember watching your guys' first Vine, where it's you were yelling in a mall.
Yeah.
We started with public disturbance, in prank videos. It's so the polar opposite of what we do now.
And so do you guys miss that type of content? Are you glad that you're making the content that you're making right now?
I don't really miss that content at all. It was a lot of fun to be the public disturbance kids and stuff like that, but now we're such in this niche where we just completely understand it and know what we're doing, that it's thinking about going and doing another style of content like that, I can't even fathom.
Also, that stuff's nerve-wracking. I mean, getting up at a lunchroom table and screaming, or singing songs in public, or any of these real public pranks are pretty hard to do. And so not having to do that all the time, or not fearing getting arrested, it's a big weight off your shoulders.
Do you have any memories of just terrible moments of people reacting? Because you guys used to dance and sing behind people in public
100%.
areas. I'm sure there's some stories of people freaking out on you guys.
Oh my God, yeah, all the time, people freaking out. And some of it you almost feel bad for. It's you're ruining people's day for a laugh. Most of the time we're not. It's just kind of oh, make fun of that guy, but at the same time we are disturbing the peace.
Exactly.
There's one time when we were really into all the public disturbance right as we were starting out. We accidentally, pissed off a guy on a highway, and the guy chased us at 120 miles an hour for 35 minutes, almost trying to run us off the road. He was so angry with us. So then we decided, okay, maybe not in the cars.
Yeah, we were also 16, 17, 18, when we were doing this type of content. So I think being 25 now, we're kind of yeah, we can't do that if we wanted to. It's too old.
Gonna get arrested.
I feel my 16-year-old self didn't really get embarrassed when I would do stuff like that.
Same.
So when I saw you guys yell in the mall, you guys were standing on a table
Yeah.
and you were yelling, I think if I would have been 16, 17, I would have just thought that was hilarious.
Exactly.
But thinking about doing that now, I'd be oh my gosh, just cringe. Thinking about doing that in a mall right now.
Social media has also changed so much to where obviously with the whole TikTok algorithm, literally anybody can become famous on the app. But when we were starting, we were only on Vine really for the most part. And so it was harder to get seen on there. And so doing something that was crazy in public, wasn't as done it was or it is
almost
now.
Necessary to have that shock factor back then. So we were always thinking what's the most insane thing to get people talking? And obviously one of the biggest things to get people talking is negativity. So it's when people were pissed off, or you made someone angry in a store, that's what got the most commotion, the most retweets. So that's kind of the right way I had to start on before we changed a little bit.
Was that the strategy, or were you just we're just filming stuff we think's funny?
Oh yeah, that was strategy day one.
Oh, it's okay.
So when we first started, it was all I guess a plan from the beginning. And when we started, we're okay, we have a year to figure this out. How do we do it? And the best way, and what we always say, is the Katy Perry effect, which now it's all different. But when she first came out with the "I Kissed a Girl" thing, her parents are in the church and everything. That was such a controversy. And so we're all right, how do we create that for ourselves? Let's do crazy public pranks, public disturbance, get that wow factor. And then once we have that initial momentum, then we can change and do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But in order to get those eyes right at the beginning, we had to do something wowing. Were
you guys embarrassed by the Vines that you made in high school? Would you walk through the halls and people would poke fun at you?
I mean, not embarrassed really. I mean, they definitely, there's some where we're just cringy, especially now, looking back on it in retrospect, it's kind of I wish I did that differently. But we never really got bullied in high school. There would be people that would say names to us for sure, but besides that,
we really kept to ourselves. Honestly, we were, we started as outcasts. We kind of kept to ourselves all the way to the end. I guess we had a group of friends, but even our close friends were kind of ostracizing us from, social groups and parties and stuff, because they were this is lame. Like, why are you guys doing social media in Kansas? Like,
I mean, I'm from the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, and it was very similar.
yeah.
Like you had a Facebook, but you weren't supposed to post pictures or anything that. And now it's like, if you don't have a TikTok or Instagram, it's weird in high school.
It's so interesting. Like, popularity is now like based on your profiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember, because I know there's this evolution of Viners making YouTube channels when I think everyone started to realize that Vine was not really a revenue source. They're struggling to make money.
Yep.
Do you guys remember that point? Because I think a lot of TikTokers are going through that right now. It's like they built an audience on TikTok, but they really can't make any money. And so a lot of them are trying to figure out how they transition to YouTube. Do you guys remember that decision or what went into it?
We actually started everything pretty much at the same time. We just didn't focus as much on our YouTube. So we've been posting every week on YouTube for 7 or whatever years. But the thing about Vine is because you only had 6 seconds, and also the same thing about TikTok, is you don't have as much connection. So the way to convert is a lot more difficult, honestly. And so we really struggled with that. We saw Vine starting to dwindle down a little bit after that. I mean, everyone realized it wasn't a great money making method. So it's like, okay, we have to do something. But when we tried to convert, it really didn't do that much. So we pretty much started over. We had like less than 100,000 subscribers when Vine died and when we had like 2 million followers. So it was like, it was hard to restart, honestly.
Super hard. And I feel like a lot of people in the YouTube community were like pissed off that Viners were like coming over and like taking their clout, like quote unquote. Like the Paul brothers, for example, are from Vine, biggest YouTubers pretty much, or you know, one of them. And so it's interesting to see like now that we kind of went through a quote unquote generation of like fans and followers on social media, and now we're seeing like this like younger generation of TikTokers doing the same thing where they're moving over to TikTok or moving over to YouTube from TikTok. It's like, it's interesting to be like, oh yeah, we were in their shoes at one point too.
Yeah, there was the Vine era. It was the Pauls, David Dobrik, all these people were coming over from Vine. We haven't really had the TikTok era yet, or at least a lot of TikTokers haven't transitioned to YouTube. I don't know if it's laziness or YouTube's also a much different game now.
So different.
Like you guys probably realize that. Like it's no longer the like Tyler Oakley, Jenna Marbles camera in front of a computer and I'm just gonna talk and you have a good edit. Like you actually have to have a production. And so I think it probably feels a lot more daunting for these kids that blew up on TikTok making 10-second videos to now have to do highly produced 15-minute videos on YouTube. And so we just haven't seen that evolution yet. Do you guys miss making short form content?
A little bit, kinda.
It's a lot easier.
So much easier.
I'll tell you that. Oh my God. Yeah, we could do a whole week's worth of Vines and Facebook videos within 24 hours. You know, like it was crazy. But like you said, YouTube is a different
It's a
beast.
grind.
And I think that is why a lot of people that are, you know, used to being able to make a video in real time and post it 30 seconds later can't do the whole sit down, make a production, make a big idea, and then post it over a week-long process.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more difficult.
Totally different skill. Do you guys remember, so I went back and watched a lot of the videos from the early days of the YouTube channel, and I'm curious to see it. I'm curious if you guys deleted any videos, because there's not a ton of videos on the main channel. Like I was expecting thousands, and there wasn't. And so, you know, I went back and
There might be a
started.
reason for that.
So I'm guessing there was some privated videos along the way. And the content was a little more edgier back then, at least some of the videos you guys did, but there was a transition point where you guys pivoted from these like challenge prank videos to what you're doing today. Was there a reason behind that? Was it just like we wanted to film this video and it just happened organically?
Dude, to be honest, we were just kind of getting sick of like the stereotypical like niche sort of like mainstream content that everybody was making. Like back in the day, it was like guys would be like, you know, attractive things dudes can do to like where girls will like you or shit like that. Where it's just like, oh my God, you know, even at that time, us being like 18, 19 years old, we were like, we do not want to do this forever. Like, we don't want our image to be like this. And one of like the main things that we would do back in Kansas, like when we, you know, weren't doing like school or whatever, is explore abandoned spots like that.
Even
was the
before
only
social
thing.
media, before filming it, was like what we honestly is probably the only thing we could do. You know,
I did the same thing in
only
North
thing.
Dakota.
No,
So
okay,
abandoned
so you know,
farms,
yeah.
Loved it.
So we decided one day, like, okay, we used to do that all the time, like as just a side hobby, why not film it and like show us genuinely having fun and like doing like these adventures. And it turned out like that worked out because people could see, like our audience could like see how much more fun we were actually having making content.
Yeah, and that was the time that like Vine was dying, and we're like, all right, so like we're not going to do the whole skit thing anymore because we're not doing Vines. We're not really happy with sitting out on the couch and shoving marshmallows in our mouth. What can we do? And yeah, like just going the genuine route was honestly the best thing that ever happened.
And I'm guessing it was scary for a little bit because I know there was another video I was watching that said that you guys saw a dip in views, you weren't sure if this was gonna work, and I didn't see anything change. I think that video actually happened after you had made this transition, and you guys kept saying like, our views are either staying consistent or dropping.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden something must have clicked because now you're 4, 5, 6 million views per video. Do you remember, was there editing changes? Was there thumbnail changes? Like what was the shift that you guys made, or was it nothing? Was it just like, we're just gonna?
There was definitely a shift.
It was a shift.
Well,
and I think it was between like June and July of 2021 because you guys had gained like 500,000 subs within a 2-month period.
Yeah, so there is a couple different, I guess, like transitions. We did Abandoned for like 3 years. Where we break into places, whatever. And that was really crazy and scary. But like you said, it was kind of just the same amount of viewers. There was only a certain amount of people that we could garner with that. And we were kind of doing the same style. And then we got arrested. And then, so that was the first major...
For the trespass.
Right.
Yeah. So we got caught in an abandoned place. We knew it was coming. All of our fans knew it was coming. And so it was just a big moment. It was like anticipating it for 3 years. And so that launched us from 500,000 views every episode to 3 or 4 million views on like our comeback videos. And so that was pretty helpful. And we're like, okay, well, now we got to change. We can't do the abandoned stuff. So what's similar? We'd already gotten to a little bit into the haunted through abandoned stuff. There's always the haunted houses that are abandoned on the street and whatnot. And so we did that for a couple of years, and it just kind of like, I think we almost got sick of it. It was kind of like the same formulaic thing over and over and over again, and we didn't really know how to innovate. We just kind of did the same thing. So we tried something different, which we did 25 by 25, which was 25 things we wanted to do before we turned 25. And that was literally just to get a fresh start.
And I think this is the switch that you saw. It was like more so...
It was like right at the beginning of 2021, we did this switch. And we did that purely to like reset ourselves and like, get a break from it. I don't know. And so when we came back, we're like, okay, we want to go back into haunted. We dove like head first into it. We made way better content. We spent way more time. Like when we did these abandoned videos and whatever, we'd probably shoot 3 or 4 in one day. But now we were spending, a week like learning about these places, producing it, like really like making it special and putting way more effort into the editing and stuff like that. And that really helped.
You can tell. I mean, the content quality has significantly changed from 2 to 2.5 years ago when you guys were making content. Like I can tell there's a lot more research done around the videos and where you guys are going. And it's a more thoughtfulness to the video and how the storytelling is done. And so I saw it, like I saw the evolution in views per video. But I think from like the random person watching one video to the other, they may not be able to tell that there was that big of a jump.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where you guys are like, man, is our channel gonna die? Like I think that's a thing every YouTuber asks themselves. It's like, is our channel actually not gonna do well?
Yeah, we did have that point at one point during the 25 by 25 phase that we were in. We remember like posting one of these videos, and again, what's interesting is it's hard for us to pinpoint exactly like what it was that was making our views like tank like a little bit, like in comparison to the haunted stuff, because we also got a new editor as well, and we hired on a cameraman to like follow us and stuff. So like the vibe was sort of different in like these videos and stuff. So it was just like a whole new like production team, like with a new like idea, and we just couldn't figure out like why exactly like the views were going down. But it was definitely during that point where we were just like, is this the right move? Like, are we gonna be able to like continue this?
I think end of 2020 was one of the more sad times of our YouTube career, because we were just like, is it over? Like 7 years, like, is it over? Like, come on. Then, and so honestly, the best thing for us ever to do was this break. Like we did like 6 months of like random travel videos, different things, like really tried everything under the sun, and it, revitalized everything.
Yeah.
So coming back.
It's actually like so frustrating for me to see creators from the past that have over 10 million followers that continue to make the same content today. YouTube's a very different place. And it was interesting just to kind of see the evolution of your guys' career. And you can see it in the channel if you just scroll back. There's not that many videos. You can see the content evolution, but you can also see you guys started taking probably a little bit more risk in like, will this video perform? Will this video perform? Like, it wasn't just the same stuff recycled.
Right.
And so I wish more YouTubers would see that and be like, okay, maybe it is okay for me to try and pivot my content and not just make the exact same stuff I've been making for 3 years.
Or even if you're doing the same style or idea, like how to innovate. I know I was watching one of Jimmy's podcasts like a couple years ago. He was saying, if you're not embarrassed by the stuff you did 6 months ago, you're not doing it right. And to that point, we were watching some video for like a reaction channel maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah. 1 year ago, embarrassing, honestly. Like the things that we're putting out is just like, oh, we could do this so much better. We could edit this so much better. We could have storyline this so much better. It's crazy to see. And even 6 months ago when we were doing this Hell Week, every Halloween, we do 7 videos leading up to Halloween. And those videos even, we thought were the absolute best thing we've ever done on this channel. And now we're like, oh, we could have doubled everything, every number, knowing the stuff we know now.
We thought in our heads that, whoa, if we level up now that, we've been doing this for so long, we got like a little bit of money behind us, like in the business, like let's hire new people that can do it better than us, like editing wise. And like, let's hire a person on our team that can make, we were using like those drones, like what are FPV or whatever they're called, like taking our content to what we thought was like the next like production level, making like insane, new videos with new topics, but like, yeah, it just didn't do as well as soon as we tried to start that again.
Did you guys end up hiring a bunch of people then and then letting them go? Like it seems like every creator's kind of been through the evolution of like over hiring, having to like figure out what people are actually needed. Did you guys go through that process?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we like technically in a term of quality, like we had the best videos I've ever had, and they were tanking. They were like the worst performing videos ever because it wasn't nearly as authentic. I think our forte is just being, handheld camera, talking to the camera as if like it is the fourth buddy in our circle, running around and doing these adventures. So when we had some other camera guy and other crazy edits that it was way more polished, people couldn't relate as much. And so when we dialed it back, like even our team, and like we came up with like all the little ideas there in between. We're like, okay, this is working.
I can feel that in a lot of and even the Chernobyl video, like it's very guerrilla style. And I think it just resonated with me. Like that's what I wanted to see. I didn't want like a highly produced documentary. I wanted to see it. I wanted to feel you guys experiencing it and like going through that radiation meter. Like it felt like I was a part of that video.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying. It's funny, the video didn't perform incredibly well, like the Chernobyl series. I wonder if it's just like people are not as interested anymore, or like people just don't know what Chernobyl is. But to me, like the storytelling of that video is just so well done.
That's one of our favorites. Yeah, thank you so much.
That's honestly like our favorite video. But I really want to talk about that video in particular because it doesn't necessarily follow this YouTube algorithm that's going on right now. It's much longer. The full movie is like 2 hours.
Yep.
And you really go through this journey of a 5-day period. You like learn all the characters. You fall in love with the tour guide, like everything. And it's much more of like a journey. So while it might get less views, it is our like best of all time returning viewer video. Like once someone watches that, they definitely subscribe. They like come back and watch everything else. They become part of the family almost because it's like they spend so much time and they get to have this journey with us.
It's framed more as like a movie as well. Like we would consider all of our videos being kind of like movie-like, but the way that we packaged it and just the way that we titled and like put the thumbnail on there and like everything, like makes it look to like a viewer, like especially like a new viewer who doesn't know who we are, like, oh, I'm about to sit down and watch like a movie about Chernobyl. So it's like they're already kind of like in the mindset of like, I'm gonna watch this as like a, kickback sort of a thing instead of most YouTube videos where there might be like, oh, I'm just gonna watch this as like fast as possible during like a lunch break.
We did a lot of series-based content throughout the years where we sometimes do 4 or 5 videos at like one hotel even or one location. And those are like really interesting. We learned with the algorithm though, in terms of virality and video performance, it's better honestly just to mush everything into one video. So people can sit down at one time and watch it. Even like on Netflix, people are watching the entire series in like a day or a week. Squid Games all comes out one day, as opposed to like waiting week after week after week for these videos. So just in terms of this new age of fast consumption, TikTok, like, oh, I'm on to the next thing. It's been really good compacting everything into one.
Yeah, I think that's like what we struggle with like the most too, is because we do consider ourselves like creators on the platform that make like way longer videos than most other like people. Most are like past like an hour. For people that don't know, but it's like interesting watching like the Ryan Trahans of the world and like Mr. Beast and Eric, people like that, and being like, okay, they're like mainstream and like the way they edit and like the way they like hold retention and stuff like that is, you know, the goal for most like YouTubers and stuff. But like, how do we do that when, you know, somebody's sitting down for like an hour and a half watching our content? So it's been kind of like a struggle of like, how do we make this like a movie to where people like can sit down and experience something, but at the same time like hold that retention for an hour?
How can we make this documentary good for 2020 YouTube? 2022 YouTube,
exactly.
That's crazy.
I think it actually cultivates a deeper like relationship to you guys though, like the community. The problem that, you know, Mr. Beast and ZHC and Eric and some of these guys have is their content is 16 minutes and it's hyper viral. And so they end up getting a lot of people that watch it that really probably aren't fans of them, but they see the thumbnail and the title and they're like, wow, I have to see that.
Yeah.
Where it'd be interesting to see like some type of case study with your guys' videos, because people are willing to put in an hour of their time. Is there a deeper level of connection to your channel and you two over like someone that has like just ultra viral videos that are 10 minutes long?
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'll just put that out there. I think there is a massive difference. Like, we always talk about this, but I mean, we have the best fan base ever. It's crazy. The conversion, just like the things like we can do because of our fan base is just so awesome. Like, they care, I think. We like treat them as our friends. Again, like we say, we film every video basically as if they are the fourth or fifth person in our group experiencing this with us. They feel like when we meet them at meet and greets, they know us. They're our best friends. They're like, oh my God, I want to tell you this story. I have this. Like, I remember what I was going through when I watched this episode, and then you talked about this in this episode. And it's like a relationship, like a deep, deep relationship, because they spend an hour a week with us. It's like hanging out with your friends every Sunday. Cool.
Totally agree. And let's talk a little bit about now channel diversification, because this isn't the only channel. So you guys ended up launching personality channels as well. So you each have your own individualized channels, and you have a Reacts channel now. So how do you guys kind of think about like the flywheel of content? Like, are you going to continue adding channels? Like, what was the reason for a Reacts channel? Or is it like, Mr. Beast has incredible momentum on a Reacts channel here, and I know he films these in 30 minutes. Is this like the new meta? So like, what was the thinking behind that channel?
Well, we had, like you said, we've done other personality channels. We had our own personal channels. However, it just wasn't as interesting to us. But we really wanted a different way to do haunted. That's like, you know, one, a lot quicker. We wanted to also like test this like fast-paced meta, and like we were like really, I don't know. It's just more interesting for us to get into this mainstream version of something that isn't as mainstream. So we're taking haunted and reacting to scary videos, but we're doing it in a way that's much more comedic, much more like viral in our opinion. And honestly, like you said, really fast videos, we can pump out a lot more content as opposed to spending weeks on something else that might make our content every like couple months as opposed to every single week.
Yeah, I mean, we just had the team members too, and like the time to where, like he was saying, we could just knock it out in one day, like filming. So it's kind of like, why not like create like another revenue stream? Like, if these videos are already gonna like destined to do well because our main channel like is getting views at the moment, it's like, yeah.
It's fun, and it allows us to put a lot more content on the platform and have viewers connect with us in our off periods, because we do like videos in seasons. And so like in the off time, like, are people forgetting about us? I don't know. But if we're putting out all these other channels, then like we're still in their faces all the time. So yeah, like end goal would be to have a bunch of channels like that are much easier to film, much more comedy personality like base as opposed to just scary all the time, so that people can see us in other lights.
Exactly.
And so how come you guys haven't leaned into shorts yet? If you're launching all these different channels, is it something you've just been against? I don't think it fits on the main channel at all, but just a side channel of YouTube
That was
shorts.
our thing. Yeah, it's like we just didn't know like where to post it at all. And like we back during the 25 by 25 days, like we like to call it, about like a year and a half ago, we were even talking about doing like shorts back then, and had even filmed like a handful, I believe, for some like our content that we were like debating on putting on another channel or whatever. But I don't know, it just kind of like, we don't really do TikTok like too much, so we're not like constantly making short-term content anyways. And so because we were only focusing on like these quote unquote like movies, documentaries we were making on the main channel, it just didn't make sense for us to kind of like reroute like gears or whatever and focus more on like the short form, especially with like our genre being scary.
Yeah, we were talking to a couple people about it because everyone and their mothers was doing shorts. So like it was the main way to gain. But for a channel that thrives on an hour to an hour and a half long videos, throwing up a 45-second video every other time is just, you're gonna get fans that are expecting more 45-second videos, not hour-long videos, and those are the ones that we want people to watch anyway. And so we're like, it's gonna be counterintuitive to either blow up a shorts channel and have all these people watching 45 seconds when our main thing is 45 minutes. So it's just like two different people that are watching.
And we just didn't know if that would work for like the algorithm as well. Like having, a viewer that typically will watch 25 to 30 minutes of like our like movies or whatever, and then going down to just like 1 minute. And we didn't know if like in the back end that would like mess up our channel. So we're like, maybe we shouldn't do this.
That was one risk that we weren't willing to take.
Yeah, it's you guys are right. Like, it's been interesting following the channels that have blown up on YouTube Shorts, and then they try and post a 10-minute video and nobody cares.
Exactly.
Because they're so conditioned to just watch a 30-second video.
Exactly.
That they're really not going to click on something that's over 10 minutes. It just feels too daunting. So I feel like at this point they're two separate individuals, and you kind of have to create for each of them. Does it worry you guys that the new meta on every social platform right now is going back to short form?
A little bit. It's kind of annoying more so. Like we were just talking off camera about Instagram and Reels and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, like that's just annoying at this point. We don't post on there at all.
If we're just making better and better content, even if we don't get the mainstream 100 million people that watch a TikTok, as long as we get our fan base, like we're good.
Again, because like we're like more so creating ourselves to be like personality creators, like an Emma Chamberlain is like a great example of that, to where somebody like, no matter what you post, will watch you because they're like, just, obsessed with like watching you as like a human being. And so like, we would rather get less views on our main channel, like in our super like long videos, but have somebody like afterwards be like, oh, I really like those people. Like I'm gonna,
like they'll talk about us. They'll like go and follow us on
like
Twitter,
instead of a fan type thing.
Yeah, it's like comparing, Nelk to a creator that has 30 million subscribers. Like, they don't need to have 30 million subs. They have a deep core fan base having 4 to 5 million subscribers that will buy Happy Dad and merchandise and like everything across their board.
Yeah,
right?
Danny Duncan's a great example.
A great one, yeah.
Like he's making millions off his Virginity Rocks like idea, and he has less subscribers than a lot of the bigger YouTubers out there, which is crazy.
Yeah, you can average 3 million viewers, but most of them would do anything for Danny. It's crazy. Like that's the type of, that's like,
it's power.
Yeah, that's power.
Instead of reach, it's more like power.
You guys
power.
So you guys launched a paywall service. Is that a big part of the brand and the company going forward? Or were you just testing something out? Like, how are you guys thinking about that revenue?
Oh yeah, we love like Explore Club. Like we've been thinking about, where can we put this other content? Because let's say we film a Chernobyl for 5 days. We have 50 hours of content. We dwindle it down to an hour and a half. There are still hilarious moments or cool stories that just don't really fit that story that we're telling in the video that people still want to watch. And like we said, like our relationship with our fans is so like much more hanging out basis. Like, oh, I want to spend more time. I want to see what they're doing in their free time. Like I want to like treat them like a buddy. So like having this Explore Club, this like paywall, this like website to put all that is awesome. I think everyone's like really digging it. But
And then how, you guys have done this together since the beginning. How have you guys managed to not kill each other?
There's definitely been times in the past, like during this, when we're like get on each other's like nerves and stuff like that. Especially, like you said, like mixing business and friendship has been like the hardest thing ever. But I think because now that we have like a specific niche of content that we know we're making, there's no like creative like differences. Plus, like the way that we edit like all of our content and stuff like that is so like, I do this, you do this sort of a thing. So as long as we're hitting like deadlines and like I can get my stuff done by this day and he can like, finish the rest by like this day, it's like, that's pretty much, there's nothing to argue about, really.
Yeah, I think the biggest arguments that's ever happened is through the creative process. So really honing in on what we both want to do and what we're both interested in, which, when we made that transition from, all the mainstream stuff to the abandoned videos to the haunted videos, that's when all the problems kind of like vanished. We're like, okay, we're both interested in this. Let's triple down on it so we don't have to worry about the nitty gritty little arguments.
But that's like when you do have like other team members and management and stuff like that, it gets easier too. Because when it was just us and like we had to, in our like rooms back home, like try to figure out like YouTube ideas and like execute them, it was so much more bickering than like being like, oh yeah, like this person's like making us do it type thing.
I think the biggest struggle with this game is there's no one else to blame really but yourself or in this case like your partner. So that's been such a difficult time. Like when you see a number drop, it's all on you. When you see those like, gray arrows pointing down on your YouTube studio, you're like, this is gonna be a bad day. So learning not to get so sucked into the numbers and like kind of detaching yourself from the content a little bit has been, I think, the biggest thing.
What are you guys looking forward to right now? What's the future entail?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. Like this year has been like the start of a whole empire. Like I love it. Like, I mean, one, this has been our most successful last 6 months we've ever had on YouTube. But two, like launching React's channel, other React's channel, a bunch of other things in the haunted space that we're working on. Like, obviously, our best moment of the year is October and Halloween, and so it's all up from here. And I think it's going really well.
We've always talked about this, but I feel like this past year was like a big learning curve, especially with the whole 25 by 25 stuff, and then going back to our roots and doing like content the way that we used to do it, like back in the day. And so it kind of feels like everything's just now clicked in for us, even though we've been on the platform for a really long time. And we're really figuring out how to like package our content. And like, I think the most important thing that like we've learned and are excited about is like, we're genuinely passionate about like YouTube and like the back end and watching things like this, like podcasts with creators and stuff like that. And learning really about like what keeps like an audience member entertained for like a certain amount of time and stuff like that. Like once you kind of get into like the nerdier side of things and like look at the analytics side, it's like you get like really into it of like, how can I make videos like more entertaining, more viral? And like we've really tapped into that this past 6 months like alone.
Yeah, literally like the first 6.5, 7 years, we were just doing it for the story. We're like, all right, what can we do to like make viral stuff and like tell an awesome story? Last 6 months has been like, okay, how can we optimize this? How can we like blow it up? How can we make the best possible content? And this has been really inspiring. Even like watching Creator Economics and all these other people on Twitter and Patty Galloway, like all those types of crazy people, whatever. It's just so cool. There's so much that we haven't tapped into. So like you said, it's almost like a new beginning starting 6 months ago, even though we've been doing this for almost a decade.
Yeah. The amount of like information channels for the creator economy on YouTube right now has exploded. And it's been like fun for me to watch that too.
Yeah.
But also now creators are realizing they're entrepreneurs and they can create businesses and products and software. And it's like the next 5 years are going to be so interesting of what comes out of this industry.
Sky's the limit.
And it'll be interesting to see what you guys do. Cause I think there's a lot of different places you could go and a lot of different products you could create around the genre of content that you guys make. And so I'm sure the fans are like all just going to be so excited when the next project starts coming out.
Oh yeah. And again, like we have things like new YouTube channels like on the horizon that we want to do. But I think the main thing that we're really trying to accomplish in 2023 especially is just like diving into the mainstream sort of like world of like the Mr. Beast, like sort of like content with our niche. So like having the scary content, but that's optimized for like those viewers so that we can be like the biggest we could possibly be in like the haunted space.
Yeah, it's interesting because we are in like a niche, but we're trying to make this scary content mainstream, and like taking this thing that's like, not maybe, not normal people are like searching, okay, I want to go investigate this like scary basement. Maybe they are, I don't know. But how do we make that viral? How can we make that appetizing for anybody that's on YouTube? And that's like our main goal.
Yeah, that to me feels like the big unlock is like, how do you make a video around your content niche that appeals to all of YouTube? Kind of like what Jimmy is doing right now with certain videos. And there's, I think, ways to do it. You guys will figure it out, and I'm excited to watch those videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an exciting adventure.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
So thanks for coming on, fellas.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having
Thanks for
us.
having us.